All right, let's go. Let's get started. Let's get this going. Test review, Unit 3. Here we go. Before I get started, before I do anything, let me show you the answers from the review, okay? And then we go from there. Pause in 3, 2, 1. It's magic. Whoa, look, there's some examples. There's the answers. Some of these can be slightly off or different, but there you go. How about the next one? We're going to pause again. 1, 3, 2, 1, pause. And there is the rest. Wow, whoa. Like, whoa, dude, you said that. Okay, now, what are some things you can put onto your formula sheet? Let's find out, shall we? Oi. All right, here are some things you can put onto your formula sheet. You can talk about a conjunction. Know that it's an and statement. Both are true. Both must be true to be true. Disjunction, or only one has to be true. If-then statements, we have conditional, inverse, converse, contrapositive. You should already know that I'm the MISD math guru because that's all there. Don't forget the little squiggly line is a not, and kind of go from there. If you need to copy this down, I would pause it. Otherwise, moving on. Bam. Okay, so we were able to omit 20 and 10. If you're in my pre-AB class, you had to do the 15 and 16, so don't worry about that. I am just going to go ahead and erase all this. But you do need to know the law of detachment and the law of syllogism. Do not forget that the law of detachment has one conditional, one if-then. The law of syllogism has two if-thens, two conditionals. And there's a symbolic notation. We'll talk about what those mean in a minute. Okay, so the first few questions, they give you some conjecture, something that you see, like just basically some ideas. That's what a conjecture kind of is. And you're trying to use, trying to decide if there are true or false. So like if you look at number 1, it says the difference of two odd numbers is always an odd number. Okay, so you kind of need to know what is an odd number, what is difference. So here I would have said, okay, let me pick two random odd numbers. Let's say 5 and 3. I subtract the 2 because difference means subtract. I get an answer of 2. It says the difference of two odd numbers is an odd number. 2 is not an odd number, so this is false. And there's your counter example. Okay, you're trying to find something that proves that it's not true or that it's false. Okay, you look at number 2. Two right angles are always supplementary. Okay, this is 90. This is 90. 90 plus 90 is going to be 180. So that one would be true. Okay, no matter what, they're going to be true. And then number 3, two integers a and b. A minus b squared is equal to a squared minus b squared. Okay, so I can pick any two numbers I want for a and b. And that should work. So like, let's say, I know on the answer key I've got 9 and 7, but let's say you chose 5 and 3, or 5 and 4. Okay, 5 minus 4 is 1, and 1 squared is 1. But 5 squared minus 4 squared, that's 25 minus 16, which is 9. That is not equal to each other, so this one is false, and this is your counterexample. Okay, so whatever you can do to help you get your counterexample. Now 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, you should be able to answer. Look at the answer key, but you should be able to answer from these notes that are here, and you should be fine. Okay? And that should do that. Okay, so keep in mind when the arrow is pointing down, that means or. And so I'm just going to join two statements that for 11 through 14 with either an or an and, then decide if it's true or false. So here I have Atlanta is the capital of Georgia, or there are 4 feet in the yard. Okay, now when it's an or statement, one of those has to be true, not both. Atlanta is the capital of Georgia, so that is true, but there are not 4 feet in the yard. That is false. But because the first part is true, or one of them is true, then the whole thing is true, because when we have an or, we just need one true. The next one, when you have an up arrow, means and. So you would join them with the word and. Atlanta is the capital of Georgia, and there are 4 feet in the yard. Now that one is false, because again it says that it is false, because both parts, when it's and, both parts have to be true to be true. So that one is false. Okay, the next one is P and not Q. So I keep the same. Atlanta is the capital of Georgia. And there are not 4 feet in the yard. So and with that is going to give me a true statement because both parts are true then. So there we go. Then finally, not P and, or not Q. That one should say or not. I'm pretty sure I'm going to erase that up arrow and make it a down arrow in a minute. It's the capital of Georgia. Or there is 4 feet in a yard, or there are 4 feet in a yard. Both statements are not true, so the whole thing is false. Okay? There you go. I knew I was going to make it a down arrow in a minute. So let's look at now the truth tables. So when I'm doing a truth table, okay, this is not P, not Q. I would go on P, Q, not P, not Q, and then I have not P or not Q. Okay, notice this is an order. By the way, this is only for the pre-Ps. My CPs do not have to worry about this. So fast forward past this if you're in CP. Okay, so how does this work? Okay, I either have true, 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 false, false, true, false, false. Okay, and then again, remember, the nots are just opposite of that. So false, false, true, true. I'm comparing these two right here. I'm going to compare these two, false, true, false, true. And this is or. And or, I just want one of those two to be true. Now I'm looking at these two parts right here, and I can see false, true, true, true. Because again, true, true, true. Okay? That's all you got to do there. Okay, I forgot to take a picture of number 16, but number 16 says P and then R or and R. God darn it. Not R, sorry. So I would have had P, I would have had R, I would have had not R, and then I would have had P and not R. Okay, P is true, R could be true. If P is true, R could be false. If P is false, R could be true. If P is false, R could also be false. And then the not false, or the not R, would just do the opposite of R. So that's all I'm doing. And again, this is and, so I want both to be true. Okay, and again, I am looking at this column and this column. So here I would say false, true, false, false. Because again, I need both of these to be true, and the only one that does that is this one right here, where this is true and this is true. Okay, and that's that one for that. It should be pretty easy to solve and tell me what's the hypothesis and conclusion. It's hypothesis again goes after the word if, and the conclusion goes after the word then. That's it. Okay, so let's look at it. If I give you a conditional statement, that means a statement that says if this, then that. You know, can you tell me, or can you say, give me an inverse, a converse, contrapositive? For example, if two angles form a linear pair, then they are supplementary. This is a conditional statement, P then Q. An inverse should be not P, not Q, which means if two angles do not form a linear pair, then they are not supplementary. My main thing is, can you do the inverse, converse, and contrapositive? I may worry about the truth value, I may not. Okay, anyways, then they are not supplementary. This is false because I could find, say, two angles that are, say, supplementary, but they don't necessarily have to be next to each other on the same line. Okay? Converse here. So converse is Q then P, so I'm going to switch it around. If they are supplementary, two angles are supplementary, then they form a linear pair. Again, this would also be false for the same counterexample, the 50 and the 130. I mean, and there could have been any of y'all come up with different counterexamples, but this is just one that could work. Okay, and then not P, not Q. If two angles are not supplementary, then they do not form a linear pair. That would be, say, true, because again, to be, you have to be supplementary if you're going to be a linear pair. If you're not supplementary, there is no way for you to be a linear pair. So plain and simple. So that one is true. Woo, let's keep that there. All right. Okay, so how could I do this differently? You know what? I'm going to erase this for a second here. And this is from the worksheet that you should have gotten on Wednesday. And it's at the very back. But it gives you two statements, a P and a Q. And then it says, okay, P then Q. Now, can you classify these? Without even looking, again, if you go back to that formula sheet part, I could tell you that this part right here, that the first part is a is conditional, because I've got P then Q. Okay, that's our standard. The not Q, not P would have been a contrapositive. And then the Q then P would have been the converse. And then the not P, not Q would have been the inverse. Okay, so go with the idea that I could ask you for something like this where you need to say, switch them around or like write them and tell me classify them also. Classify them would be that. If you're not sure, then ask. Okay, so here are the answers for that. If you have a library card, then you can check out books. If you cannot check out books, then you do not have a library card. If you can check out books, then you have a library card. So you see how things just get worded or put together. If you don't have a library card, then you cannot check out books. Don't make it too difficult. Keep it kind of simple. Okay, and then the last part of this test, make sure you know the difference between detachment and syllogism. Again, detachment is going to use one conditional. The syllogism is going to use two. In detachment, that's whatever is like in that conditional, like the first part should match up. So in number 7, if Alex runs a mile in under 6 minutes, then he will set a new personal record. That's like a general rule, but that's my conditional. Then I look at this part. So like I'm trying to compare these two parts right here. I'm going to hopefully use detachment, but I want to compare these two parts right here. This with this. These should kind of match up, which they do. It says here, if Alex runs under a mile in under 6 minutes, and then he ran it in 5 minutes 45 seconds, so that is under 6 minutes. So they kind of match up, which means then Alex set a new personal record. I can easily come up with the conclusion using the law of detachment. Now, syllogism has two if-then statements, and they have to match. In this case, they don't match because here you will need to bring sunscreen, and here it says if you do not bring sunscreen. It would have to said if you do bring sunscreen. So it has to match up. But you look at the next one, third angle is 90 degrees, a triangle has a 90-degree angle. Those match up. So with syllogism, I can join the first part and the last part and say if the measures of two angles in a triangle are 30 degrees and 60 degrees, then it is a right triangle. And that should match up and work from there. Okay, last parts. Okay, and again, same thing. Is it detachment, syllogism, or neither? Detachment has one conditional statement, and then they have to match up. So here, one conditional statement, that's this. 3 is a whole number. If a number is a whole number, 3 is a whole number. So that matches up. So this one is detachment. I'm not going to try to trick you too much on that. Next, number 11, there's two conditional statements. So I'm thinking either syllogism or neither. But if it's syllogism, they will win the division. Then that should have said here, they will win the division also. This is neither. How it ends is how it should begin to get syllogism. If two lines are parallel, they never intersect. Okay, so here I have two if-then, so there's two conditionals. So I'm thinking syllogism. They will never intersect. They never intersect. So syllogism. Again, one conditional statement. So I want these first parts to match up. This is detachment. Again, one conditional statement. I want these parts to match up. They don't. So this one is neither. Okay, so that pretty much covers it. Here's a nice thing for y'all today. Let's go with a bonus word. Put this on the top of your test. I will add some extra points. So your bonus word today is orange. Because orange, you glad I'm giving you a bonus word. Ha ha. Anyways, thank you for your time. Y'all take care. Hopefully y'all are ready for the test and y'all do well. Good luck. Take care. Thank you.